Okay, mute your mics for me, please. Good evening. This is a very special edition of Make We Talk here on the Jeffrey Tavares Make We Talk YouTube channel. Our discussion this evening is Jamaica a failed state? And is the Minister of National Security and Justice issuing a shoot to kill order to the JCF? We have with us this afternoon members of the diaspora. I'm waiting to get Sir Wilfred Rattigan on. Hopefully we'll get him on. We have with us this evening Mr. Herbert Nelson Jr., Chairman of the Crime Committee Region of the Caribbean, Mr. Chipamento, Andrew Cunningham rather, and Andrew Barton. Am I saying it correctly? We're going to discuss this. We're going to dive down in this and discuss it because our country has gone to a place where I don't think the powers may be has a crime plan for Jamaica. And when a country can't secure its own citizens, then there is something fundamentally wrong with the governing of the country. Oh, I'm sorry. It is Chairman of the Crime and Security Committee regionally of the Caribbean area. For Mr. Herb Nelson Jr. I do apologize about that. And when a country can't secure its own citizens, there is something wrong somewhere. For far too long, we sit down in our country and we say nothing about our crime situation in Jamaica. It reached a point where it's gone out of whack. It is out of control, and the time has come for every single Jamaican from all walks of life to speak out against the blatant injustice, the blatant corruption, and the crime situation in our country. And this evening, we're going to speak to that. Gentlemen, unmute your mics for me. Gentlemen, unmute your mics and your cameras, please. And welcome to a special edition of Make We Talk. I'm going to start with the senior gentleman inside the discussion this evening, Mr. Herbert Nelson Jr. He has vast experience in the crime situation in Jamaica. We're all Jamaicans here, and we're asking everyone on the YouTube channel to share this channel. Share, like, share, subscribe to it. Let everybody know that we're on, because we have to dig deeper in what is going on in our country. I see we're in a well-known Jamaican multimillionaire, who I will not call his name on my program, who made some statement about Jamaicans, if they work hard in Jamaica, they will not have to leave Jamaica to go overseas. But let me say something this afternoon. When some people are born with gold spoon in the mouth, the chat all sort of nonsense that come out of their mouth. Mr. Nelson.
Yes, sir.
The Minister of National Security said something a couple of days ago at a groundbreaking ceremony in Westmoreland. I want to play it for you, that you can hear it. And this is what the Minister of National Security said. And I find it to be very... When I heard him say it, I said, is this man telling the JCF to go out there and kill Jamaicans? Shoot to kill? At one point, you had a former Prime Minister, late Prime Minister, Hugh Shearer, who ended up saying that, shoot and ask question after. Is it that the minister is saying the same thing this afternoon? Or, to all the JCF members, go out there and shoot. Then you ask questions after. Let me listen to it because it is very troubling. Human rights organization is coming down on him. He's the deputy prime minister, he's the deputy minister of defense. Let's hear what he says.
Shooting on people like that. Extrajudicial killings is a historical thing in the here.
Are you hearing it?
They have had fatal shooting because man shoot gun off them. I'm not telling no policeman to fire back. And I said it here in Westmoreland, I'm not sending no ambulance out there either. Anytime a man take up a gun after police, I expect commissioner to train them. When him fire, he must miss. Don't want him to come give no trouble to the hospital or home. Not in that business. And when him get hurt, him get hurt. Once him pull a gun, a police officer must be prepared to deal with him. I don't even want them to come give trouble. You know, you go to the hospital, it costs you $10 million to save him life, you know. Not into that. Right? When criminals, the police come, must surrender and come in. They are entitled to a fair trial. That's why I emphasize we are providing the courts with what they require to run an efficient system. I can't tell the judge what to do. I can give him the laws and I can give him a good courthouse. And that's what we're doing. And I train the police officers to prepare the case well. So they have a good forensic lab and they get tools to work. And I want to assure the country, I take that job personally seriously and the government is committed to it. And what I speak to it, I speak as government policy.
For the interest of time, I will not go any further in this video. But Mr. Nelson, you heard what the Minister of National Security said. Is it that the minister, they don't have a crime plan, they're out of ideas to fight the crime in our country?
Well, you know, a crime plan is one thing, but how you prepare and train your police officers is something else. The police officers must be aware of what the overall crime plan is, and the police officer must be trained to meet different incidences. If the incident he's referring to, and I heard him say that somebody pulls a gun on a policeman, the policeman, if he feels threatened by the use of force against his person, then he's authorized to pull his weapon, and in most cases it's who pull the weapon first and fire first. But the policeman is trained with the use of silhouettes. They fire at silhouettes, and the silhouettes represent the upper body, the widest portion of the body, and this is how they're trained. So if a policeman has the integrity, and if he has the right training, if he disarms the suspect, if he pulls first and he can disarm a suspect by ordering the suspect to lay the weapon down, then that's what he's trained to do. He's not supposed to be listening to a belligerent Minister of National Security who feels that they just need to go out and shoot and not take heed that there may be others in the area, in the vicinity, things like that. But the police officer has to be calm, got to be collective. In other words, you got to look around, observe. All of this, he has a split-second timing to do if somebody has a weapon. And if he's able to draw his weapon first, order the person to lay down the weapon, then that's on the person to comply. If you have cowboys out there and they listen to the minister, yes, you're going to have cowboys that just pull first and they fire away. Whether they hit the perp or they hit bystanders is going to be another question, because that's what happened in the heat of battle.
But Mr. Nelson, if a Minister of National Security who is also the deputy prime minister for our country, can come out and say to the police officers, shoot to kill. In other words, he's saying to them, anybody can go out there now, and said, a taxi man may go out there and a little taxi violation, and the taxi man tell him to have those colorful clothes that sell down by Pinks and Pablo's. And they're going to shoot him. That is exactly what the Minister of National Security is saying to the people, to the JCF.
Well, I didn't hear that because he did qualify his statement by saying if somebody pulls a weapon on the police officer, he did qualify his statement. So I have to take him at that qualification, and I have to take the officer at his training qualification. Now, what the minister is saying. So again, you do have what the minister puts out there as a police plan, and then you have the officer who's trained to deal with individual situation. In the military, we refer to that as situation control. You have a situation and you're by yourself or you're with your squad, then you have to deal with the situation. The level of force employed must be consistent with the situation that you're facing. Now, as far as I can tell, if the minister is advocating, let's assume he may be advocating that officers just wantonly shoot anybody that they're up against, then he's going to be held accountable, because every shooting has to be explained with INDECOM's intervention, and INDECOM can take it to the DPP. And then it would be explained to the DPP that this is what the officer heard, this is what he urged.
But based on what the minister is saying, that he wouldn't even call any ambulance, let's say for the gunman, and he wouldn't spend how much $1 million to keep him alive. Isn't that against the person's human rights?
It's against anybody's human right if you're gonna make them bleed out on the ground. So if a person happens to die in the course of being shot and can be and aid and comfort has to be administered as soon as possible. If they die by bleeding out, by being forced to bleed out, then again, INDECOM gets involved. Don't forget INDECOM. I don't think INDECOM is listening to this minister. And they have to do their job to determine, with the help of the coroner, when that person was shot and how long it will take them to bleed out. If he nicked some main artery or what have you, and the person bled out. But INDECOM is going to be the investigating authority there.
Yes. Let me go to Mr. Barton. Is it Barton or Bonton? Let me go to you. Pardon me?
Bonton.
Bonton, yes, Mr. Bonton. Let me go to you, sir. I'm pretty much sure you heard about what the minister said. And we have two topics to deal with tonight. The minister, what he said about the security in Jamaica, and also what a famous Jamaican who born in riches, grew up in riches, and talking about Jamaicans, if they work hard in Jamaica, they don't have to leave the country. How dare you? Anyway, I'll behave myself tonight. Sir, what is your views on what the minister said? Do you think that these politicians will have a crime plan for Jamaica?
All right, we've seen over the years that really and truly the politicians have not established a fervent crime plan or a steady crime plan. We're piggybacking on things that were done before. But the minister's words were not unjustified. I think he qualified based on what Herb had said before. It's just how you articulate the words that gives the wrong impression. For example, if a police officer is engaged with a gunman, if you would, the intent of the gunman is not to have a conversation. The intent of the gunman is to shoot first and get away later. So the minister would not have been indignified or unjustified in saying, if you're encountering the situation or if you're faced with the situation, then you have all rights to retaliate in the same manner, because it's justified. It's a life for a life, if you would. But it's just how he came across and articulated the words that really rubs some persons wrong, if you would. It could have been said better. We know of the situations that are happening, and considering that there's no crime plan and police are engaged with criminals on a regular, I'm not thinking it's a bad statement. He just needed to articulate it a little differently.
Chipper, Mr. Mento, your views on what the Minister of National Security says, and do you think that our country or the politicians has a crime plan for Jamaica?
Pleasant good afternoon, my fellow panelists, and good afternoon to our listeners. I do not agree full 100 with what the minister is saying, but as Mr. Andre said, it's all about how he articulated himself across. It came off a little bit like he is nonchalant to the person at the receiving end of the, of the policeman's wrath or execution of duty. And it's still a human life that is basically being handed in the event of coming up on injustice or violence. I think there is not really a good crime plan that's being executed. So we are at a loss and disbalance in the justice system. So for going forward, I think there should be focusing not only on how to handle criminals, but also how to police more effectively.
Mr. Cunningham, unmute your mic for me. Go ahead. I know. Is it Sunday morning where you are?
Yeah, it's Sunday morning.
Yes, and I know you must be a bit tired, but go ahead and what is your views on what is going on in our beloved country?
Morning, everybody who's listening and my fellow panelists. I didn't even know about the utterances by the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of Security. It is actually quite alarming how many of our politicians or articulate their thoughts. And but just like you might have misinterpreted what he said about the qualification of the gun, any common person might say he immediately tell the police will kill you off. That's a possible interpretation as well. But if we were listening to Pars's words, he's basically saying the resources could be better used to carry out justice, i.e., instead of spending $10 million on a criminal who should be recovering from a gunshot wound from the police, he'd rather have them in the court system and have that system showing how efficient it is or how well it works. Unfortunately, in Jamaica, no disrespect, although it's going to come out with disrespect, a lot of the persons who are police officers probably don't act in the I guess the most the least violent of ways when it comes to engaging persons who have broken the law. And so you have that stigma and the mistrust with the police force and the abuse of power as well that comes with it. And the general mistrust that citizens of Jamaica have when dealing with the police. Reports are not matching up with what actually takes place. Eyewitnesses are unable to corroborate what has taken place. I have seen things as a schoolboy, and when I hear it on the news, is not what happened. You know what I mean? And so then you have that whole disparity with what is taking place. And so when you have the citizens not being able to trust the police, you're going to have issues in how to police, how to work with the citizens. Because to be honest, policing is not only done by the police. The citizens also have to help in securing their communities and protecting each other. And it is a hard task. And I know the police don't have that sort of cachet with communities for whatever reason. And of course, the informal mentality and all that sort of thing really contributes to crime being a very hard thing to tackle in Jamaica. You know what I mean? In terms of the crimes with guns. I'm not talking about like the fraud crimes and that, but in terms of murders and robberies, it's been really hard without the whole community coming together, trying to work for the better good. And so the lack of crime plans stems from the system itself being broken and the system itself being a part of the crime and the corruption. So it's a whole lot to unpack, because we were talking about this on Twitter the other day. That the
Yes, I
whole
remember.
guns, you not hear me?
Yes, I remember we were talking about it on Twitter. Go ahead.
Right. So guns first coming into Jamaica. The common Jamaica man can't import the guns. So how the guns come into Jamaica? There has to be,
You know,
and so when they come into Jamaica and they're given to whoever, and they say, okay, please do this. After they've done that, they then take it upon themselves and act with impunity and their own autonomy, because they now have the guns and now they're unable to be controlled anymore, because they say, but we have the guns. So what you tell me say? And so everybody becomes their own big man, and then it works out into some chaos. And that's how our country, I know, was spiraling into this tribalistic type of thing, which leads to which is another issue in itself. But sorry for going off on that.
But do you believe that politicians over the years contributed to the Jamaican crime pandemic that we face nowadays? No?
You I suppose
I'm asking you the question, sir.
All right, so from my knowledge and what I've seen, there's some correlation. I won't go as far as say explicitly, but there is correlation. And persons who would have lived in let's say particular areas in Jamaica would have seen things and probably would have benefited from or have suffered from the hands of involvement. But we're not saying no more, because I don't want to go.
No. I mean, I'm just saying that, with me, I will personally say this. The crime situation we face in Jamaica now, it caused from the Danmanism, the One Order gang,
before that,
the Tira gang, the Nira gang, that is a line to the two political parties in Jamaica. And it has reached a point where right now the crime situation is out of whack in Jamaica, in our beloved country. And I personally think that they can't do nothing. It reached a point where they're clueless. It reached a point where they do not know what to do. I hear former Minister of National Security, Robert Bobby Montague, and I'm going to find the clip, of what he said. Resume hanging. Hang them. Till them dead. And if they're not dead. I mean, come on. The time has come where I think we should resume hanging in Jamaica.
Wait. Here's a slippery slope now, Mr. Tavares. If we can't even arrest the right people, why?
You have a point there, because
really be sad. Imagine just like you call, sorry, Andre, not you. You call Andre Banton, it's actually Andre Barton them supposed to get, and them go get Andre Banton and go hang Banton, and after them hang Banton, they realize it's Barton them did for hang.
Yes.
Go tell Andre parents, I'm sorry. It's something simple as that.
It is.
And I know when they say the good have to suffer, but we don't want to type of good suffrage them. We don't want that. You understand? So until we're able to sort out all of the systems and have the things in place, really and truly, I don't matter them. If we can't get the mother them, I don't want them. The help way. Yeah.
The mother, in other words, you're saying that the parents and the women them of the criminals have a lot to do with it.
The woman them, man, to say, oh, no more for you, sir. The game change. You'd be surprised.
I think Mr. Nelson is here he is. So Nelson, welcome back to the program, sir. What is your views on the whole idea of I said something a while ago that the politicians or the political parties have a lot to do with Jamaica's crime situation now. What is your views on that, sir?
I think very much so that the birth of violence in Jamaica, and I'm not talking about, ratchet knife fight or a simple fight between gangs in the old days with knives and bottles and stones and everything being employed. I'm talking about the politicians who first organized crime in their communities, right? I'm talking about those who did the weapons trafficking, those who have been doing the drug trafficking. And they are the ones that brought on these methodologies of protection within the community. And they also brought in the idea of the garrisons and of forcing people to go to the polls to vote whether they wanted to vote or not. So politicians are mainly responsible for these things. I clearly recall a journalist named Walters, U.B. Walters, from the Gleaner Western Division, writing an article that pointed to the start of the violent period in Jamaica when one party targeted the youth organization of the other and killed something like 21 youth from one organization. Now, because that was the organization in power and their youth were being killed, and they could no longer depend on the police or the military for protection, that Minister of National Security went to Cuba and secured weapons and distributed those weapons. And in turn, we had a good old-fashioned civil war going on. And if you recall the period, probably from between 79 to 80.
He was a baby then.
Well, what can I say?
Was it the time in the Warwick Hill area?
Yes. And I mean, the killings were off the chart in 79. And when one party, who were the aggressors in the first place, won, what happened when the party won? Mysteriously, they shut off the violence. They said, oh, we found a way now to live with our neighbors, right? And we have seen things come full circle, because in 2010, when they went in to get Dudus, the so-called leader of the Shaw Posse at that time, what was happening? Dudus had organized all gangs under his tutelage as the Don of all Dons, and they were ignoring the politicians. So at this point, the gangs had acquired wealth and power. So they didn't need the politicians. Some politicians, however, have maintained status with the name gangs. And it's not like we have powerful gangs running around in great numbers. Probably have less, 5 or less. And with the advent of SOE to replace a crime plan, right? The police go and raid an area and they scatter the members to a different parish. The members keep moving from parish to parish. When they get to that parish, there are people who object to them being there, and then you have warfare breaks out in that parish. So the crime plan is not sound. It does not set up traps to trap these gang members. Once they move, once the raid is done and they're moving, then I guess we need something like CCTV systems to show what vehicles leave the areas of impact. And that CCTV system should be able to identify those vehicles either along the highway or local roads, and tell us the routes that the escapees are taking. But that's not happening. We have very poor planning around the corralling of these large-sized gangs that are really a thorn in the side of the government. Plus, we have members of the political party and police officers who have been corrupted in the process that are giving tip-offs to the gang members. You see the trial going on right now in the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
And it's revealed that police officers are involved with the gang members, as well as military officers as well. So when you talk about gangs, it goes hand in hand with corruption, politician, and who benefits.
Mm-hmm.
That's a question we all have to ask. Who is benefiting as a result of this gang presence? Who, in fact, feeds the gang and control that gang?
You know something, Mr. Nelson. Before we go any further, let's say good afternoon or good night to our fellow viewers on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe, especially to my good friend Marie, who is on, our good friend from space, and all other people from space who are on from the Twitter network. I see I have my good friend, until her thing is connected, I can't see anything yet, but I see I have my good friend coming on, Diane Dennis. She's also the General Secretary of the Transport of Development Sustainable Services. Lady Dennis, good night to you, ma'am. Unmute your mic. Lady Dennis? Maybe she's not ready for me as yet. But you know.
Good night, Jeffrey. I'm so sorry.
Yes, welcome. We're live on Make We Talk, Jeffrey Tavares' YouTube channel. I think other members of the transport sector are listening to us and watching us. What is your views on the crime situation in Jamaica?
Oh, well, crime has gotten out of hand. It just spiraled out of control. But for me, one of the difficulties that I have is that, just as with most of the crime, just like the journalism, there is very little that goes on. Very little by way of investigation. We tend to shoot first and there's nobody to ask questions afterwards. That is something I have a difficulty with, because you can't get to the mastermind when each time you catch one of his cronies, he ends up in the morgue. So I think that where that is concerned, I do have a problem. I have an issue with that. Just how we police, you know, and every time citizens are asked to give information, but just I think up to a night ago on television, the inspector at St. Catherine North was having a interface with church members, and he was saying that, that is one of the major complaints he's getting, that as soon as they tell the police something, it's out there in the public domain. I had a friend already who went to the police station to make a report on a particular policeman, and while she was there, the officer she was reporting to had his phone out on the desk on speaker, and the officer she was complaining about was able to listen in to what she was saying. And by the time she left the station and got out on the road, he met her on the road and could tell her all that she said and took her bus away from her. So these are some of the things that that need to be fixed. And one, I don't see. Yes, we need to bring back stringent punishments. That too is a factor. But the recent pronouncements by the Minister of Transport, the Minister of National Security, to shoot and to just shoot and kill, does not sit well with me. I don't like that at all, because I've known of instances where innocent people have lost their lives as a result of the police taking that particular approach.
Ms. Dennis, I want to come back to you. I have Mr. Royal online. Unmute your mic and camera, sir. Welcome to Make We Talk Special Edition. Are you there, sir? Dan.
You know, I'm here, but you said to unmute my mic, which I can.
But the camera you can.
Yeah. Not at this present moment.
No problem. You're
Okay,
a Jamaican. Cool. You're a Jamaican living overseas.
No,
what is
I
it?
was Jamaica.
Are you Jamaica?
Jamaica. Yes,
You're
of
in Jamaica.
course.
Okay.
I'm a patriot, So when them say I'm on Barney, I'm on leave, I mean that.
But no, on a very serious note, no. What you see what is going on in your country? I mean, we blame politicians for a lot of things because the fact of the matter is they are put there to pass laws and do things for us. What is your views on the crime situation in Jamaica now?
All right. I don't think we have the amount of hour in the day to talk about what is happening here because
we have a lot of hours. Can do it right here. Go ahead.
Yes, but yeah, it is no secret to the extent that we are plagued with crime. You know what I mean? It's riddled in our communities, in our schools. It's everywhere. But the mere fact that the majority of persons here, well, I'm gonna use the Gen Zs, to say it. Majority of the Gen Zs would prefer right now to live into a gated community with a security at the gate than to live in a house. And it's just the fact that security has now become a necessity for living here and a necessity that a lot of persons cannot afford. So, the root, to talk about crime, we have to address the provenance of it. Like, where is it coming from? And we all know where it comes from. You know what I mean? History has dictated where crime in Jamaica come from, where the gun never come from. What is it? What is the root? Is it poverty? Is it politics? Is it just a wild man just say, yo, we just got to ban and bust gun? It's not. It's more. It's a root that we probably need to address if we're gonna address the matter. And for sure, we have passed not just one person that a bus gun. It's now a syndicate. You know what I mean? It's when scamming came about, just the access of money to youngsters, and now have to defending money and defending their territory. Like all that jazz is just a tattoo on the already coloring book of a skin.
But would you blame scamming on the powers maybe not creating jobs for the massive, or is it that people just decide to say, okay, me no scam because scamming is a thing we can do?
In the beginning, but in the beginning, we all know. The majority of these youngsters, they want to get fast cash. You know what I mean? They want make it and make it fast. They want a big car, they want a big house, and they want it now. But a lot of persons, we know it started at Mobile, and Mobile, just the fact that the older persons that created that syndicate or that road for the youngsters to follow. And you tasting what money feels like at a younger age. When you don't know if you do it, say buy a car, you burn the money at dance. Like I'm not blaming, let's say, not just access to jobs or access to facilities. I'm just thinking there's a broader root to it. But the speaker before me, made a statement that said she didn't fit with her well. And I might not be coming on a term, but it fit for some strange reason. It fit with me well. It fit with me very well. And the statement never really said shoot to kill. It said once a gunman take up a firearm and point it at a police officer, enough of miss. And my question now is, if the gunman is putting up the firearm to shoot to kill or to shoot to wound, Why should the policeman shoot for miss? You know what I mean? Because at that moment and that stance, he's defending his life. Him go for work, you know, he come for defend him country and represent him country. But once the gun is in front of him, he's defending his life. And I know he has a responsibility to protect and serve. But at the same time, these criminals out here have bigger weapons than them. Them have intelligence that we don't know where them get it from. And they're coming to wound with intent. So why would not the security officer do the same? That would make the scale balance. I personally think one of the deterrent of crime in this country is I don't think the sanctions are stringent enough. You know, for me, I think they see it as all right. Them catch me with gun. I can risk it. Them catch me with gun, and me go in a hotel. I may sit in a hotel for 10, 15 years, eat 3 meals a day, and then come out again. And majority of them come out again. They're supposed to come out reformed. They don't come reformed. Them come back in them same communities, and you know the criminal elements outside of that have been strengthened, and now them join it. And sometimes some of them are control the criminality from inside. You know what I mean? So for me, one of the deterrents or one of the things that needs to be addressed, the policies. It is the overall cause and effect. Okay, you do the crime, you pay the time, but beyond that, I really think we need to end them. But if you go to state and probably me I say out of time, I'm gonna say but let's just address the elephant.
In other words, you want to say like former Minister Robert Bobby Montague then? Because I agree. Listen to me. I agree with former Minister Montague. You know, hang them till the teeth skin like corn dog.
No, but it is the truth. If they don't feel free. If police stuff, if they're not afraid of police, if they're not afraid of prison, then they must afraid of something, right? And unless we find that something and instill fear in them, then they will come out bold and broad like what they're doing now. And it's what it is.
Mm-hmm. You know, we're all talking about what is going on in our country, and I'm trying to figure out something here. Is there a solution to all of this? What is the solution to all of this? And before we go there, we need to find out, does the security forces of our country have the tool to really fight crime? And I have to turn to the elder statesman in the panel here, Mr. Herbert Nelson Jr. Mr. Nelson, unmute your mic and come in for me, sir. Do you think that Jamaica has the police officers that have the tool to fight crime, sir?
The police numbers have risen dramatically over the years. Keep in mind, you used to have a force of between 2,000 to 3,000, and now you have a force that is about 10,000. You have 8 million people in New York, and you have a force of 12,000. So if we're rivaling the force in New York City, which is serving almost 3 times the amount of people that we have, and considering a lot of Caribbean people, including Jamaicans, live in New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, the Bronx, Staten Island, then you have to ask yourself, why are we not more effective? Well, he's not here yet, but Mr. Rattigan would tell you that you cannot take an army officer who is good at ground tactics, logistics, and admin, and apply that officer in a situation to command and control over a force that size of police officers, because that army officer is devoid of any law enforcement background or natural instincts that law enforcement officers develop over the years. if we were under attack from gangs on a regular basis, then he could develop countermeasures to suppress the gangs and the gang fires. But that's not happening, right?
So in other words, you're saying we getting all of these personnels from the JCF to become commissioner of police and all those things.
JDF.
From the JDF rather, to come to the police force to become commissioner of police.
Yeah.
You don't think that works?
It has not worked. You know, it has not worked effectively as we would want it to work. Now, if he's putting together a super duper logistics plan that will stop police officers from destroying their vehicles and hold them fully accountable, liable for destruction of those vehicles by them not just driving like they're enraged maniacs, then that's something different. If he's putting in place an anti-corruption program that will force officers to make a financial disclosure and disclose whether or not they control some of these taxis on the road that just simply flaunt the law and get away with it, then that's something else. That may help the taxi men out there on the road. I know you had a program with them recently.
But right now, Mr. Nelson, as far as I'm concerned, the JCF is more concerned about the poor pauperizing bus and taxi drivers more than fighting crime. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's true to some extent. But that's because if you notice, when they create these taxi parks, you have certain drivers who don't obey that rule, don't obey that law, and they get away with it. And a lot of people out there feel they get away with it because the police officers have a financial interest in those taxis. So nobody is out there to enforce the law against them. So you have to talk about enforcing the law in a balanced fashion and evenly. But back to whether they're equipped or not. The gunmen, the weapons that I've seen on display, the police do not possess those weapons. Police may possess rifles, shotguns, sidearms like Glocks or whatever, but they don't have the sophisticated weaponry that the Homeland Security investigations revealed in Miami the other day. That's being shipped to Haiti. And we know once it goes into Haiti, it disperses within the Caribbean, especially to Jamaica, right? So if Jamaica is getting like some of these 50 cal weapons and buffalo weapons or you know, sharp, you're muted, Jeff.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you were saying something?
No, I was saying to you that is it that the JCF don't have enough ammunition to fight the crime, or what is it? Because you say that, you know, the guns that is coming in from America to Haiti then to Jamaica. Is it that the government of Jamaica don't have the capability to buy or the finance to buy, you know, because I'm being told that police officers go home without any gun.
There's a shortage. Police officers should be able to take the weapons home with them. And let's face it, if you're a police officer and you come out of Western Kingston and you live in Western Kingston, then you're up against gang members when you go back home. And what we're seeing here is police officers who live in certain communities become corrupted by those communities, namely because they have no choice. If they're going to go up against the Dons and everybody else in that community, they have to have their weapons on them. And that weapon, 9 out of 10 times, may not even help them because they have superior weapons in the community. So the government, if they're serious, may have to create a community or communities for police officers and soldiers. And they're going to have to put those people in that community, separate them after police academy, right? Now, if you do in fact have these officers separated and being able to enforce the law without fear or favor, then that's what you want. But if they don't have any protection, if they lose their weapons, they have to turn it in so that the guy in the next shift gets to use the weapon, then that officer is in bad shape. They would have to put in for a gun license and buy their own private weapons.
Then, Mr. Nelson, before I go to the panelists on the platform here, Lady Diane Dennis from the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, Chipper, my good friend, Andre, my good friend, and Mr. Cunningham, and Mr. Royal Dan. Before I go to you all, if you want to call into this program, I'm going to give you a WhatsApp number on a WhatsApp call only. If you want to call into this program, you can call 876 782-8235. It's a WhatsApp call only. You can call 876-782-8235 if you want to be a part of this discussion. Give us your views. What do you think about Jamaica's crime situation? What can be done to curb the crime situation in our country? We blame government every day. Every day we blame Andrew Holness. And we blame the Minister of National Security and Justice. And quite frankly, I blame them too, you know. Don't get me wrong. Me cuss them when I'm ready. But what can be done to help curb the crime situation in our country?
Jeffrey, is there a website that people can log into and actually listen to or watch the program?
Yes, they can go to Jeffrey Tavares. That's Make We Talk, Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. That's Make We Talk, Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want to call into the program, you can call 876-782-8235. It's a WhatsApp call only. You only can get us on WhatsApp. That's 876-8235. 876-782 rather. 876-782-8235. And to get us, you can go to Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. All right? We're live there. We're having a discussion with Herb Nelson Jr. and, you know, other members of the diaspora. We're supposed to get His Excellency Sir Wilfred Rattigan to come on. Hopefully he can come on. Chipper, go ahead.
So I got a question for Mr. Nelson. So you're telling me that when a police officer is issued a service weapon or graduates the academy, he's not issued a gun license or a permit to purchase a weapon for his personal self?
No. When these officers graduate the academy, they don't have any special favors for gun license, right? And they're not issued a weapon normally to take home. So they have to turn in the weapons at the end of shift and go home to whatever neighborhood they come from. So imagine I'm an officer and I come out of Spanish Town and I rough up some criminals in Spanish Town, and now I'm going back home to Spanish Town. What do you think is going to happen when they see I show up? I neither have baton nor weapon, sidearm.
Or a handcuff or anything. So you're left at the mercy of the
You may have your handcuff, Chipper, but you don't have the taxpayer going on your side. Because they don't have no money. Yet the American government, and Mr. Nelson can tell you, I'm going to make you come on, Andre. The American government give the Jamaican Ministry of National Security, I think every year, nearly $2 billion to fight crime in Jamaica. Yet the JCF, members of the JCF are going home with only $70,000 a salary.
That is the other problem, that is an acute failing. And keep in mind now, you know, these officers don't have the kind of health insurance that they can go to a private hospital like the one there in Andrews or the private side of UWI. right? Their policies take them down to KPH and to some other hospitals that they really don't have full access to, right? They have very poor medical coverage. And the 70,000 Jamaican dollars a month, you divide that by 150, and that's how much it come out to in US. If you want British pounds, I think you divide it by 185 or 190, and that's how much they take home. But it can barely pay the rent, much less in a different area, a more upscale area, if you will, because officers need to live where they don't have to worry somebody waiting for them inside their home when they get back home. They need to live somewhere where it's safe, where they probably got CCTV and other things that can cover them. But that's not happening. All guys are exposed. So if government is serious about taking care of your police officers, you have 10,000 of them, then start having communities dedicated to, say, civil servants. Doesn't have to be all police officers. Civil servants, right? Give them.
Mr. Cunningham, go ahead, Mr. Nelson. Sorry.
All right. No, I said give them the benefit of better pay and better health programs.
Mr. Cunningham, go ahead, sir. Unmute your mic. I see how you have your hand up to ask a question.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I was sitting there. I 70,000 Jamaican dollars is less than 500 US a month.
There you go.
That's just for reference.
There you go.
Wow.
And yet, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade can find $40 million to travel around the Commonwealth for go chat to get Secretary General of the Commonwealth. They find nearly 200 million for Independence Grand Gala. And the police and the teachers in our country not getting any pay? There's something fundamentally wrong with the government of our country.
We have here's a few things I just want to say, read that. I want to get back to the just two things quickly. You were speaking about I'm shocked, first of all, the police get trained and graduate academy and don't have a license. I don't understand that. That don't make no sense to me, but we're going to leave that alone. A lot of things don't make sense in this not real place called Jamaica. When I used to live in Vineyard Town, we had a particular, I don't know if you remember Maxine Henry Wilson, she was our MP at the time.
Yes, the Minister of Education who sleep in Parliament. Go ahead.
Right. When I used to Vineyard Town, there's a particular part that is a bridge. And apparently there was supposed to be some political meeting and something happened, all right? And the opposition minister was there and said, I don't understand. The MP was supposed to be here. Anyway, long story short, there was supposed to be some form of attempt, all right, cool. Not to say that a lot of the persons who are in the communities or the MPs are not from the communities, one. Two, they delegate a lot of their activity to be sorted out in the community and whatever, and then act like they don't know what's happening. Now, to come to the salaries, a lot of the issues that I think affect our people in Jamaica is a lack of resources and able to provide for their families. So if you have a police officer that is getting less than 500 US a month, he's going to find a way to supplement his income. How does he supplement his income? Well, there are legal means and there are not so legal means. You can link up with try run group together and get some taxi on the road, some coaster buses, or have them wrecker. A lot of policemen actually have a wrecker, and that is how they make their money. Them tow people car and sort of thing. So if you don't have persons being able to be comfortable in their job, they are not going to perform to the best of their ability. And when persons can easily be swayed, imagine 500 US in 2022. Brother, when 10 years ago when I was in Jamaica, teachers were making that. I think. I don't know what they're making now. But I remember them cussing. You leave university after 4 years of studying and student loan, and you're getting 50 grand take home pay. I mean, how you survive off that? So persons have to find ways of earning income, and Jamaicans turn them and make fashion, and they don't care because if them pitney hungry, you can't talk to a man, you know. You get fired away with feeding pitney. And that is the bottom line. Until we're able to provide resources for our people and they're able to be comfortable, then we can't fix certain things. You understand?
You know something? We can fix it, you know. We can fix it.
All right, hear me say. Fix it amicably for all people.
No, but listen. When you have wasteries of poor people money,
or misuse of funds, of course.
Misuse of funds. You're looking at me and telling me that we can't pay our teachers and our police officers properly in our country? But yet, I am not saying that we mustn't celebrate Jamaica 60 independent, and Chipper, you're going to come into this now. I'm not saying we can't celebrate it. But my God, you know within yourself that our teachers are leaving the country left, right, and center because of underpaid, overworked. They don't have the facilities to work with. They don't have the tools to work with, and you're spending money on a thing like Grand Gala and that kind of gala. We can do better. If we don't have proper accountability, it's gonna continue happening. Next, hello. The question I'm asking ourselves: what sort of Jamaica we're leaving for our children? That's the question I'm asking. And our teachers can get better pay. I used to cost the police them left, right, and center. But when I realized the type of salary that they're getting, it's unbelievable. It is totally unbelievable. Yet you want the same police officers to secure you in your house in Upper St. Andrew and Upper Cherry Garden? Huh? And they're underpaid? Cheaper?
Well, Jeffrey, they don't really care for them to secure them in their upstate residence because they have their private security for that they are very strapped to the teeth. You know, they carry 3 or 4 guns strapped to their teeth and full of rounds. So they don't really care to really cater for the police officers to protect them. So they leave us, the citizens, at the justice of the poor policing, you know, and it is really disgusting to sit here and understand that a police officer has to subsidize his income by participating in criminal activities from all aspects. Is it right? No. Is it understood? Yes, it is understood truly why they have to do it, because they are not paid fairly and they're not cared for fairly. As Mr. Herb Nelson said to me, and it left me in shock, that there is no leniency on a police officer getting a gun license. And I think that is utter rubbish. Nonsense. Don't see how you're able to walk up and down with a firearm and don't even have proper license to carry a personal firearm. Doesn't make any sense to me. That needs to be adjusted immediately by the commissioner and the Ministry of Security. That needs to be thrown up, because if you're so uppity about the police not having a gun license, but you are making backdoor deals for your friends and cronies that to get theirs, why can't you do the same for the police officer that has to protect us and then go home to his family without a firearm? That don't make any sense to me. I'm shocked and disgusted to know that. And then the fact of the matter of the pay, it blows my mind. And also the fact that the healthcare cannot even say that it's a substitute. There's no proper healthcare for them, and it is rubbish, because you guys get all this money and you throw it on a lot of things that I see to be not of substance. They're allocating funds to remodel the National Stadium. I don't want to jump down in it, but that is rubbish. Utter rubbish, because the National Stadium does not do anything for the country of great significance. So that 11.6 billion that they allocate to go spend on that, they need to put that on pause. We need better healthcare, we need better pay for the teachers, and we need a better police force, a greater police force with more equipment, police vests, better cars. And Mr. Nelson, I do understand how you feel about the cars being tarnished. We had a conversation the other day with a few people. I also say these cars are not properly equipped. They're not properly reinforced. They're the base models of
Because the friend own used car, Jeffrey shut your mouth because the friend own used car dealership.
They go and buy up these used cars and they are not fitted with proper suspension system. And may you know, Mr. Ness, that sometimes they have to go on rigorous roads in Jamaica.
Yep.
They're not equipped with proper suspension system to handle these roads. There's some upgrade that has to be done. I don't want to compare my small island to the United States of America. But before every car in the United States of America hits the road, it is equipped with proper suspension system to handle the brute force and the weight and the rigorous driving that the police would have to put that car in if it's ever to pursue a chase or a criminal.
Before I have the next guest, Mr. Andre Banton come on, or Barton comes on, I have a message here in the YouTube chat. There are politicians who say that their salary of 300,000 or 400,000 monthly is not enough. And there's one who said, the Minister of Justice, Delroy Chuck, said that it costs him more money to be in politics. It costs him more money to be in politics. When I hear such utter nonsense in my life.
Resign and give the seat to somebody else that is more patriotic and willing to do the job. Get out of the House of Parliament. We're not begging you to stay. You choose to run another term. Get out.
But you know, let me say this, Jeffrey. What I heard Minister Montague saying, and you know, I was impressed with him when he was at the National Security Ministry. But he seems to be the only one that speaks out now within the ruling party.
Because Bob, hold on there. Robert Bobby Montague. I find that man to be a non-nonsense person.
Yep.
And that man don't give a kahuna who it is. He's gonna speak. Go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
He is talking about funds that are appropriated for use in constituencies going unused. He said he can't understand how certain ministers are not budgeting, planning and budgeting for projects within their communities, and funds are going unused. So when he's saying that, it means he's looking at the numbers. He's looking at who's using the funds and who's not. And if you're going to tell me that there's a lack of security within the community, I'm going to say, okay, what about CCTV to be a part of the Jamaica Eye? And what about maybe old-fashioned alarm boxes for if people don't have a cell phone, or if the cell phone can't transmit? Have an alarm box you can pull for police, fire, or ambulance.
But Mr. Nelson, they're talking about fire. You hold on, something about fire. The poor fire brigade personnel, them going through the pans of hell. Hold on there. But Mr. Nelson, the question must be asked of the parliamentarians in the Parliament of Jamaica. If a Jeffrey Tavares is the member of Parliament for Western Westmoreland, and his constituency funds is not being spent, why is the Parliament giving me more money for constituency funds? And what you give me before haven't been spent? You see what's going on? The level of corruption going on in this country. I see I have Mr. Bond, Andre hands up. Go ahead, sir.
All right, you know, corruption is very interesting to listen to everything that we've said so far, because there are a few key takeaways and there are a few key points that we really need to focus on or zoning on. Corruption is not something that I think we can get rid of at any point in time, but it's how we mitigate the situation that really creates the ripple effect, because all of this is really a ripple effect, you know. And just for full transparency, I do host a radio program. So this is a discussion that we've had before with the senior superintendent of police. I'm not remembering his name right now, but we had a similar discussion about the salaries or the compensation packages that police were offered or is being offered. And one of the key points that or key takeaways from it was that they said they went to their employer, because they never said the government. He said the employer who they've had conversations with on several occasions to adjust the salary, if you would, and they've been owed 18 years worth of overtime pay. Now, when and I found it very funny because I said, what do you mean 18 years worth of overtime pay? They have not been compensated for 18 years of working.
From the PNP in power. Under PJ Patterson. From
So-
the PNP and the power of PJ Patterson, the Jamaica Constable Force has been owed money. And these so-called politicians who claim to love Jamaicans, not paying the security forces properly. But hello. Go ahead, yeah, man.
Further to that conversation, what we spoke about was the fact that there's a negotiation, an ongoing negotiation of how they're going to be paid. And one of the key points that they made was that they had requested, or they were willing to forego about 10 years of that back pay. Now, my thing is, if it's a case where you're willing to forego 10 years of back pay and your employer is still not willing to meet you halfway, what do you do then? And according to the senior superintendent, they're going to ask for all the money. No, I say this to say, you can't have a country where people are not being paid properly to give you excellent customer service. It will never work. And really and truly, the police officers are offering customer service at this point in time to serve, to protect, and to reassure. It's also very interesting to note that we expect them to go above and beyond. And you can't have that, because if people are not paid, then they're not motivated, and you're going to have them resigning or leaving. And one of the questions that I asked him was, why is it that the police officers are not leaving, or they're not resigning to go find employment elsewhere that could be better off? And he was saying that the officers love their country. They just want the government to meet them halfway. And I find it very amusing that the government is still not willing to meet them halfway. But at the end of the day, this crime plan is bigger than everybody, if you would. It is, I think it's exorbitant now, and I think it has put a strain on the country. The resources are, I would say the resources are here, it's just how they're allocated. They're not really allocated properly. You find that some are going into other endeavors that really and truly don't serve no purpose. And
I'm sorry to be cutting you off, and that should not be as a talk show host, another talk show host. But as you talk about that, you know something? Herbert Nelson Jr. can tell you, if you see the amount of donor funds that come into Jamaica, and by the way, I just talk about donor funds. This Tuesday on Make We Talk on Roots FM, Wilfred Rattigan will be giving an announcement about donor funds that is going to shake up Jamaica. And I'm going further with that. But the amount of donor funds that Jamaica get for security, and you're telling me you can't pay the JCF members improperly? When I hear the tune of how much $1 billion they're getting, where's the money going? The building so much police station gave to them, yet they don't have any ballistic vests. They don't have any cars to drive in. They don't have any guns. I don't know.
It's a real embarrassment. It's a real embarrassment when you think about it, because the country has so much potential, but people are not willing to give the funds or allocate the funds where they're due. And so you have people burnt out and just don't care anymore. So crime is not going to stop anytime soon, because you have police who are disinterested. They really don't care much about crime anymore. You have police men and women who really just don't care about the citizens anymore. They're just going for the pay. And even if the pay is not enough, then you still have the few who are willing to do it, but they're not being incentivized to carry out the role. And really and truly, it takes cash to care. If you don't have enough pay for working for something subpar below what the regular standards of Jamaica is, then you're not going to have a fix in any situation soon.
Mr. Nelson, you're the senior inside here. You know a lot about the crime situation in the Caribbean. And you know how much funds Jamaica get. Can you give us, do you have the figures there with you now? How much funds a year Jamaica get to fight crime?
Jamaica's funds has consistently over the last 5 years ran between 55 to 65 million US dollars, which is 2 or more billion Jamaican dollars. So when you have this kind of money that the State Department and USAID is pumping into the police force, giving them vests, giving them other assistance, then you would expect a better return on your money, return on investment. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing the cars, as a matter of fact, before I forget, Jeffrey, there was an order about 4 years ago for a fleet of over 300 cars. And 100 of the cars are still undelivered. O'Brien's, if you've forgotten that.
Oh, no, I haven't forgotten it, you know.
And the bottom line with that deal is O'Brien's is claiming that they had to give kickbacks to members of the force when they put the order in. So O'Brien's is essentially saying to us.
You're saying to me, O'Brien's is saying that they give kickback to members of the police force or the parliamentarians.
The higher-ups, let me put it this way, whether that higher-ups was police or parliamentarians, I don't have this stuff in front of me right now. But O'Brien's has made that claim. Well, how comes with all our fancy mocha and our fancy CTOC and all the other fancy NIB and MIU, they have not disclosed what has happened to the funds, right? If we have real intelligence within the force or within the security services, they should be able to do a track and tracing of those funds, follow the money. You do have a financial investigative department or division run by Assistant Commissioner of Police, and they can't give an accounting as to what happened. The public, the people of Jamaica deserve to know what happened to the money that was allocated. And that was during Bobby Montague's time, I believe. He was about to leave. So whatever happened since he left, they need an accounting to the people. There's little transparency, and this is what caused it so much angst with the JCF. There's little transparency in everything they do. They drag their feet, they start late on investigations, like the one they're about to drop the ball on now with the young lady.
Donnelly Donaldson.
There you go, right? There's a struggle to keep that case afloat. And in fact, it's going to be up to the DPP to pull off a miracle to keep that case going.
And I don't think America is going to pull off, because based on what I am hearing and based on what we are seeing, that damn man may go free.
Well, we said it from the get-go, Jeffrey, that the failure to act immediately is like they gave him some lead time. And whichever one of his friends, whether they're from the force or from the apartment building, who assisted him in that crime, they're allowing him to get away with murder. So we need to look at the way our police react to these different crimes and these criminals within the force. Here's a man with unexplained wealth, affluence, and he's a constable, if I'm not mistaken.
And live in an apartment that costs $100,000 a month.
And they're saying an upscale vehicle.
Yes, and they're saying it's because he is he's a producer. Producer my foot. The woman Pitney dead. Donnelly mother born night and day for her daughter. And I'm saying this evening. I never want to go down there with Mr. Herb, because I came here this evening to talk about the crime in our country. That's a part of the crime, yes.
That's a part, yes.
But if they let that man go free, if they hear the talk, they want bail. How much time they go say they want bail, and when I go for get the bail application, I kind of bangarang happen. God don't sleep, you know. Want to be careful what you're doing. Be careful what you're doing, because that woman is, her heart is bleeding for her child, you know. 9 months she carried that girl in her tummy. And you claim that you love the girl, And whatever they do to her, we can't find the body. We can't find no closure, nothing. Nothing at all. And until now, the Minister of National Insecurity and Injustice, now nobody in high up says nothing about it. More than the Commissioner of Police, because Wilfred Rattigan came on the program and talked certain things. The Commissioner of Police came with some dibby press conference. But then charge that. Listen to me, you better wake up in the country, you know. You better wake up in this country. For far too long, they put the Jamaican people back against the wall. For far too long, they've been doing it. And the time has come. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We need justice for Donnelly Donaldson. Not because Donnelly Donaldson come from the Afro-Lancer Society of the Vumva and the Vumva V. Nobody couldn't go meet with the family if he talk to the family. Huh? Listen to me, you know, make I calm myself down, you know, because, hello, when I see injustice happening, you know, it hurt me, you know. It hurt me. And people were saying about Jeffrey, I don't give a damn who wants about Jeffrey Tavares. I know what it's like to go to my bed hungry. Donnelly Donaldson family need to get justice. This is the time that the JCF must give justice to this young lady's family. Mr. Nelson, go ahead, sir, because, you know.
I listened to Mr. Banton say he did the interview, and I think either himself or Chipper had acknowledged that there's not a whole lot we can do about corruption. I need to remind everybody that Jamaica is 140 something miles long and 50 something miles wide. You don't have a whole lot of free space in between because you have a mountain range going through the middle of Jamaica. You're supposed to be able to do track and tracing quite easily if you have the camera set up right. When that man drove in through that gate and took that young lady into that apartment, they knew it because they saw it on camera. The fact that she never came back out, or if she came back out, it might have been in that couch or in some trash bags or what have you. But the bottom line is she never came out. When we have other killings like that with the Prime Minister's attorney, Bailey, I believe his name is, with 3 people in a house, 1 died. There was nobody entering the house during the night. And that goes unexplained. And there's no resolve of that crime either. It seems, and then one other I'd like to mention, the lady driving in an upscale vehicle, I think it's an Audi, with her son.
In Montego Bay.
In Montego Bay. And supposedly somebody grabbed her door and opened it while she's driving through the neighborhood. Take her son out, or take her out rather, and drive away in the vehicle with her son. End up killing the son, and they recover the vehicle. And you don't hear a pin drop after the initial reporting. All upper class, upper echelon people. So the corruption goes all over the place. And there has got to be more that our specially lettered agencies who are super trained can do to resolve these cases and to give transparency to the JCF.
You know, Mr. Nelson, when it comes on to Jeffrey Tavares, not go down the road there. Do not go down that road. The corruption in our country, it stink more than Riverton Dump. And my goodly co-host, radio talk show personnel, if he feels like to speak freely, you're not on any radio station, but they can still sue we. We're not calling no name. But if you should speak freely, the corruption in this country, every single government organization is corrupt. Every single government organization in this country is corrupt. And I dare to go further. The churches can't see nothing either because them corrupt. Them is the biggest scammer in this country. And when the churches are ready, them scam poor people about no God save this and God save give no all. So them can't see nothing, and most of them are in the back pocket of politicians. What are we gonna do in this country, Mr. Nelson?
Well, the people of Jamaica gonna have to make their minds up that they have enough of all the scamming and all the backbiting and all of these procrastinations from the Minister of National Security and the Minister of Justice, who say him can earn more money elsewhere. They need to send both of them on the merry way and get people in there who are fighters, people who are motivated, that can motivate the force, and that can bring the kind of pressure to bear on our small island.
But the question I want to ask Mr. Nelson, why is it that the two political parties, whether the PNP or the JLP, why when the people in the diaspora ask for, when the people in the diaspora offer their help to them, they don't want it, but they want their money?
Hey, that's what they tell us. Send the money, but you don't send nobody, right? Look, COVID, we used to give $2.3 billion pre-COVID. And because of COVID, the diaspora is now giving $3.3 billion.
A year.
A year. US dollars. Not Jamaican, US. So you tell me, every time we say we want to bring a team in and we want to observe or we want to assist and we want to train and we want to do different things, they say no. But if you can give us the money, then we'll go ahead and we'll take care of it.
But you know, Wilfred Rattigan, and I don't give a damn who wants to recall Wilfred name too much. Wilfred Rattigan sit down with the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Prime Minister Michael Andrew Holness, and speak to him about the crime situation in Jamaica. Do they do anything about it? The Minister of National Insecurity and Justice, Harris Chang, I saw a Zoom meeting with him and members of the diaspora, with former Ambassador Curtis Ward. And they asked him some questions pertaining to the crime. And when they offer their help, the damn man is saying no. Do they really want to fight crime in Jamaica?
No, it suits them the way things are. That's our belief.
And the People's National Party was as dead as Medares. No better barrel, no better hair, because them just clueless too.
But why would they want to invite somebody into their house to scrutinize them? Inviting people in for help will lead to you being scrutinized on your operation. And they're not done for scrutiny, because in their eye, they're doing the best for the country when all they're doing is the best for them and their friends and their family. They're not caring about the country because nothing that happens in the diaspora affects them, because at the end of the day, their kids go to school international, their family travel international for healthcare. So again, nothing in the diaspora is affecting them per se. And that is why a fellow person of a politician the other day uttered the utter rubbish out of his mouth to say that Jamaicans don't work as hard in their country as how they do outside of the country, which I think is utter rubbish because when we work in the island, we're barely getting paid. We're not properly compensated. And then we're not given the best health care facilities to get health care in. People who are sickly. I have friends that their main focus, their main reasons not to want to move back to Jamaica. It's not only just the crime and violence, it's the access to health care. That's one of their biggest problems. And their biggest concern is access to health care.
No, Chipper. That individual who made that utterance out of his mouth, he born into wealth, you know. He born into billions and billions of poor people money.
We know that.
So he can speak any utter rubbish that he wants to speak. It's same way a mayor, a deputy mayor in Montego Bay, who I spoke to and said he didn't say it. He went and said that the people who leave Jamaica, they're cowards.
And then
tell me something now. We who vote and put these people in there, all they can do is come out and criticize us because they can't do the job. And I hear the Governor General, him go out, he's going on and talking about a 2030 vision. To live and work where?
It's gonna be in Jamaica because there's nothing there to really make you feel safe and secure. Andre is a friend and we have a lot of conversations about Jamaica.
I want Andre to come on next.
And it's scary when I talk to him and we reason. And another Andre is also a friend that we talk. Dan and us had a beautiful conversation the other day about said tweet. And we try to figure out where is it that this registers with the average Jamaican, because the average Jamaican will work twice as hard, but what are they being compensated? Where are they being compensated? And I want to ask that same person who wrote that tweet, are you paying your employees well?
Hello.
Compensate.
They're not paying no tax in the country then.
No, they're not, because they have offshore banking accounts that do their business for them inside the country so they can get international tax packages. And we are very aware of this, because if we trace the funds will lead right back to overseas banking. And that is why they're not paying any taxes in the country. They are barely paying any taxes in the country, and they want to utter nonsense about people who choose to migrate for a better life for them and their family. At the end of the day, all of us never string cut to Jamaica. All of us would like to resign and retire in Jamaica. Jamaica first for me. Everywhere I go, I'm a Jamaican. Wear my colors, as I said, proudly. Speak of my island proudly. However, when it comes down to crime and violence, I am embarrassed. When it comes down to healthcare, I am embarrassed. When it comes down to politicians and the corruption of the politicians, not just the police force, but the corruption of the politicians from their upper echelons and vumbuvis, as Mr. Jeffrey said. Friends, they are so slack and just willing, as my dad would say, them willy-nilly for them friends to give them everything. Because what I hate about them the most is that when they come into power, if something was going good and it was working properly, they shut it down and try to say what they did before was not properly structured. So why didn't you reinvent it instead of shutting it down completely, putting people out of jobs and throwing taxpayers' money down the drain? Because nobody's there to hold them accountable until some organization is actually formed to hold these politicians accountable for how they're spending our hard-earned taxpayers' dollars. Then nothing will come of it. We need an organization to hold it. Either the people are going to rise up and form an illicit body of people to hold politicians accountable. Because I hear a lot of young people say, oh, one person cannot do it. One voice, it takes to start a revolution. One voice. One voice. That's all it takes to start a revolution. Evolution has got us here. But what created everything for us to be here today was a revolution. And without a revolution, we will not get any further in this generation. I believe that this generation of people that we have, we are like they say, a bunch of vipers, but we are vipers for the wrong reasons. We have no venom. We're stingless. We have more mouths than actions. We can chat from morning till night, but guess what? It is 2 hours of chatting about this and 10 hours of chatting about nonsense. Which artist is what and which artist is who and who is what and who is what. We are more concerned about people's sexuality nowadays than the plummeting of Jamaica's economy. And it's sad. And I'm sickened of how Jamaicans can run around and think about people's sexuality instead of focusing on how the politicians are molesting the country.
They're raping the country with a condom. They're raping the Jamaican people.
As the video said the other day, get a plastic bag. They didn't even get a plastic bag to use to rape Jamaica. They're raping us in every shape, form, and size. I don't know what is going to be left out for Jamaica in the next 7 years to come. They're saying 2030 vision. I don't even know what's going to be in Jamaica in the next 7 years, much less to get to 2030.
Before we go over to our good friend Andre, let us remind, thanks everyone for watching. And I must say thanks to all my listeners on Jam Vibes Radio on Zeno FM. It's an internet radio station. It's owned by me. On YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That we can, you know, when we come on with these conversation about our country, you can know we're coming on. My good friend, my other talk show host, unmute your mic. I'm a very passionate person. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong out there. And my other good friend, Marie from Twitter. Please, Marie, don't bother think that Jeffrey is violent. You know, Jeffrey's a very nice person, but I get emotional when it comes on to certain things. And before I met my good friend from the other radio station comes on, there's something I want to play by the late civil rights leader, Senator John Lewis. I want to play something for you all. Listen to what he said. And believe you me, I take this thing, his voice, and what he said seriously. Listen to this.
I got arrested a few times. During the 60s, I went to jail 40 times. Since I've been in Congress, I've been arrested another 5 times. And I'm probably going to get arrested again for something. I'm not suggesting that any of you should go out and get arrested. But when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, stand up and say something. Do something. I gave a little blood on that bridge in Selma 53 years ago. I almost died. Some of my friends and colleagues were murdered in Mississippi and other places. I'm not asking any of you to give any blood. I'm just asking you to go and vote like you never voted before. We have to vote. The vote is the most powerful nonviolent instrument or tool we have in a democratic society, and we must use it. Use it. Go out and vote. Let's go out and vote. Go and vote. Go and vote.
You know, when I heard the late Senator John Lewis made that speech, I said to myself, because he has a thing of saying, you know, get into trouble, but get into good trouble.
Whether by television, live stream, or
hold on for me. Get into trouble, but get into good trouble. Jamaica and Jamaicans, my fellow Jamaicans, John Lewis may not be speaking to us, you know. In the sense, he's maybe speaking to American people, he's speaking to us. When you see something wrong, speak out. I grew up in a home with a godmother, a grandmother, a home with former politicians and present politicians. But everybody know who Jeffrey is. And I used to go to Green Island Comprehensive High School. And I used to speak out because I was a student councillor. I cannot stand by and will not stand by and see injustice going on and don't say something. Enough of me talking. Over to my goodly friend.
You know, it's very funny that you would have played that clip, because what I really wanted to say surrounded that clip as well. The conversation that Chip and I were having the other day, and I think you would have heard that conversation, is that as a set of people, we like to, I'm going to use this word loosely, we like to romanticize a struggle, meaning we want to go through it. We don't just want to see, you know, the good outcome. We have to have a story behind it. And it's very sad, because when you think about it, we know exactly what is wrong with the country. We know everything that is wrong with the country, and yet we choose not to fix what is wrong with the country. I'll give you an example. A certain fast food restaurant has increased prices, about 8 times for the past 7 months. And
you mean KFC?
Yes. So
because hello, there's a friend of ours in our group of KFC. Anyway, go ahead. We're talking something serious.
So they have increased their prices of about 7 times over the last, from January, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. And everybody decided, well, the majority decided that we're going to take a day to not purchase KFC. And I'm certain that would have done some amount of, let me say damage, but it would have done some amount of reconstruction to their organization if everybody went through. We know where the problems are. We really do know where the problems are. We know who's the problem. And there's no way that we can fix a system when we don't know or fix the root cause of the problem. Unemployment is a big thing. Unemployment is the main thing. All right, fine. People have jobs, but are you paying them more than enough to sustain themselves? Are you paying them more than enough to sustain a comfortable living? One of the things that I had learned the other day from my housemate is that I think in order to have a sustainable life in Jamaica that affords you, you know, a proper life and all the amenities that Jamaica has to offer is about 300,000 to 400,000
a month.
Nobody's making that. Half of Jamaica is literally poor. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Half of Jamaica is literally poor. And when you have persons who are going home with no money, people who don't know the next meal coming from, people who have families, because I think the other day I saw a report that says Jamaica's birth rate is declining. People don't have the money to support a family. If you can't support yourself, we're going to support a family. That's just the reality of it. When you have persons who are not making money, how do you expect the economy to grow? People are always going to turn to something to compensate what they don't have. And that is where crime comes in. I was doing some reading in the meantime that, you know, you were sharing your thing. And one of the main things that I observed is that all of the causes of crime are interlinked. Poverty. Again, people don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
Politics. The government is not paying people enough money. Society. The government is not taking care of the society, thereby not taking care of the people, hence poverty. And
we have very classes in Jamaica too.
There you go. We're very, very classes. We look at everything except the real problem. And the last thing is, and I said it before, unemployment. When you have all of these factors, how are you going to change it? You can't change it unless, as Chip would have said, you have a revolution. As a society, we really look to one person to fix the problem. I've never understood it. One person should fix the problem. We all see the problem. Unless somebody goes out and talk about it, nobody else has an opinion. And we in this country have a 9-day wonder. We're upset about something now, and 9 days from now, we just don't care. Because as I said, we love to romanticize a struggle. We love to arms up and grapple up a struggle to say that we've gone through it. It should never be like this. And until we hold our government and our politicians accountable, there's never ever going to be a change. They also know where the funds are. And I said it to somebody the other day, if there's a calendar of events, it would have been scheduled at least 5 years in advance, so you'd have known where money should go. Pay the people them. It's simple. Pay the people them. The host and I, on our radio show, he often mentions that the government does not have enough money to sustain paying everybody and to sustain the economy, because I think about 30% of Jamaica is actually paying the correct taxes to foot the entire bill of the country. And when you think about it, 30%
and we have to service the debt that
there you go.
the thief
We'll have to pay the debts. Money is unallocated for misappropriate. And when I think about all of these things, if 30% of the country, and that's an estimate, if 30% of the country is actually bringing the economy, we're really not going to have any money to cover the expenses that we need to. But at the end of the day, there has to be a middle ground. There has to be a middle ground. The economy, the society is fairly a young society. It's aging, but it's fairly a young society. There has to be a reclassification and a restructuring of our society to cater to young people. Innovation is one of the biggest things that we can think about. People don't have resources, and that is why you find people would will migrate to get to something that is going to pay, even if the work is 3 times as more, they're going to go and get something that's going to pay them more, because people are not really worried about work, you know. People are worried about how much you're going to compensate them for the work. And when I think about it, 156 to 1 is a great odd. You'll do 2 times the work, you'll get more work done, but at the end of the day, you can see your returns when you come back to the country. So people are really and truly not. Jamaicans don't worry about work and how the workload is heavy. We're more concerned about how much you're going to pay us. Because if I'm working good, I expect to be compensated properly. And that is the main issue that we're having. So you're going to find that crime is going to be hard to curb. A lot of persons are, let me not say uneducated, but coming from school days, they really don't have the resources and they don't have the trade to get a job. So they're going to turn to something that's going to give them the money. And it's unfortunate, but we have to think about the grassroots of what is really causing the problem before we can actually talk about fixing the problem. I'm all for solutions, goals, let me fix something, because if you can't find a problem, there has to be a solution somewhere. But how do we get to the solution? And that is the issue that we're having in this country now.
Yes. Mr. Nelson, how do you think we can fix, and then we're going to go to Mr. Cunningham. I hope he's not sleeping. How do you think we can fix our crime situation in this country? As a Jamaican who lives overseas, a Jamaican who has what should I say? The know-how then, who knows about the crime statistics in the Caribbean. But we're speaking about Jamaica. If Jamaica fix our crime situation, I think we can be the example of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's very true. And from 2016 till now, we've been saying to the government, you need to address the issues of our youth and gangs, because that's where I think most of our murders are occurring. The perpetrators as well as the recipient of the violence is among our young people. And if I can put a range on, say, 16 to 30, that age group is where we're suffering the most. And we have suggested safer cities. You can harden a city with lights, with patrols, with Jamaica Eye, but you can't get inside the homes and do the same thing. The only way you can get inside the homes normally is through the kids. And our program right now that we're doing in Waterhouse and the Portmore area, Portmore has a Charlton football academy where we brought out up to 150 young kids from 5 to 18, male and female. And we've worked with them every Saturday. We have a soccer mom program that works with them during the week. In other words, mentoring. We have the elementary school that we work with as well in Portmore. And we're just getting around to doing the same thing within the other community where Rattigan himself is from. Waterhouse. So the bottom line is, we just started a program across Jamaica, the Institute of Caribbean Studies, Crime and Security, and the overall institute itself. We started a program where we let the kids suggest what projects. When I say kids, I'm talking about adults as well. What projects do you want that we can help you to formulate, construct it, plan it, and help you get it funded. And we've asked 60 young people to be a part of this program. If we're doing this and more of the diaspora decides to do the same, we can begin to isolate kids from the gangs and give them something to do, give them a project to do. For instance, I said to one of the project leaders just yesterday, if you find that you're overwhelmed and you cannot do this by yourself, then let's find 2 people, seniors in high school or folks in college, that need a stipend. And let's work on getting them the stipend while you oversee the project. And they become your arms and legs for admin, for logistics, to help with the planning and development and doing things. So you have to get involved, even though you're overseas, you really have to get involved in community development. You have something in Jamaica called the CDC, the Community Development Corporations, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And the CDC is an amalgamation of all churches, businesses, whatever you have in the community that come together. And this is who we're working through. We don't impose anything on them. We just work through them to achieve whatever planning that they're involved with. And so we'd like to see this happen across Jamaica, because we have Augustown involved, we've got Westmoreland involved, we got all kinds of parishes involved here. It's something that started in one house. So here we have it now going on in at least 10 parishes. So my challenge to the rest of the diaspora is, you find what parish you come from, you find a project, find out if they have a CDC, and let's get the kids involved and get them out of the crime and doing something that projects for 2030. Let's make 2030 a reality, but you make it a reality. I can't do it from here in the US. They have to accomplish this with our help.
I didn't want to cut you off or anything.
Go ahead.
It was recently as I spoke with Dan, and
very controversial. And
we were saying the same thing. I said every community needs a community center that base these kids with activities that actually can help. Tourism is one thing in Jamaica that will always be a thing. Jamaica is spoken about around the world without us without us pushing ourselves. They talk about us everywhere. So we know tourism will always be a thing. But the agricultural industry needs to be spoken more about in the school curriculum. Everybody wants to be a lawyer, everybody wants to be a doctor. So if everybody in Jamaica turn a lawyer and doctor tomorrow, who is going to feed us? Who is going to feed us? Jamaicans have this scorn to look down on skilled workers, and it's disgusting. It has pained my heart from I was a kid. That when you tell a person that I want to be a carpenter, they look at you like you just want to be a bum. When you tell them you want to be a welder, they look at you like you just want to be a bum. Then you tell anybody that you want to do a skill work, they look at you like you're nothing less than the person on the corner that is just there idling. That is how they look at you. Construction laborers are looked down upon like somebody don't have to build the house. The architect can draw the plan, but he cannot go there and execute the job without laborers, without steel workers, without plumbers, without electricians. I believe that I was a child that was very exposed to heavy equipment operating. In the United States, I didn't go to no college, and for everybody listening to me speaking, my articulation skills come from my mother and books that I read. Libraries are a thing of the past in Jamaica now. I don't know how much kids even owning a library card. They don't even know the importance of the library. That's another thing I don't see being pushed. And it is disgusting to me that agriculture is spoken down on when Jamaica is one of the most beautiful landscapes to do farming on.
But you know, see,
300. Yes.
You know, see what they do? Agriculture's land is being stifled off to build houses. And
About
they're
it.
lying about it.
3,000 acres was given to somebody in the upper echelons of Jamaica
Of the Vumvavon, the Vumvavin.
to agriculture. And all of a sudden, the contracts has disappeared. Now it's being relocated or reallocated for housing, which we don't need no more housing and agricultural lands. Portmore took up all of that beautiful land that could have been agriculture. So we don't need no more of those things going on right now. We need more infrastructural growth and agriculture for the Jamaican economy to really grow. We have some of the most beautiful fruit trees and foods that you can find in the Caribbean, and we are not producing enough to feed our nation, much less the international market of the hotel industries that are booming and popping up everywhere across the North Coast, the Eastern Coast, and the Western Coast.
And that money, the hotels and bill in Jamaica, not 1 red cent is in Jamaican bank.
But the banks don't, you know, I don't even want to touch on the banks because the banks are utter garbage of Jamaica. And I still believe that the people can change that. Because we other people can come together and form our own black bank in Jamaica for us as black Jamaicans. But again, once you come up with these plans, the first thing people do is find the negative instead of looking at the positive. And that is one of the major problems in Jamaica. No one wants to take any sacrifice in this immediate time that can have a repercussion for the next 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 years to come to benefit our kids. We are living off the sacrifices of others without even acknowledging it.
Well, a case in point, Chip, is the ganja industry. For decades, they were jailing a lot of us for illegal activity when it comes to ganja, whether selling, smoking, or otherwise. As soon as they made it legal, then they started charging a $10,000 fee for you to grow and a $2,000 fee for you to transport.
And it's only the same person, one of the same person who let in the DEA.
Yep.
To cut down the ganja fields in Negril and Mount Airy. He's now want to be president of the Ganja Growers Association of Jamaica. You say such nonsense in this country?
Well, hey, what I've seen is even worse. I see the head of the U.S. House Congress leave the Congress as Speaker of the House, Boehner, John Boehner. His son, a Jamaican, his son-in-law, Jamaican, married to his daughter, is a dread. All of a sudden, he becomes head of the U.S. Marijuana Growers Association.
And he was fighting, anyway, Jeffrey.
He was fighting against it. And then a gentleman used to be the CIA director. He is also up there in the directorship with him. The same CIA used to take the ganja out of Jamaica and ship it up to the US and have money to do different operations that Congress banned them from doing. These guys are now big time doing what they do secretly. They're doing it publicly now.
But Mr. Nelson, it begs to ask the question. I know we're all over the place with this. And the crime and the this and the devils know what.
Part of crime, you see.
But it's part of crime. But it begs to ask the question. Is it that the Jamaican government do not want to see the people who started the ganja growing in Jamaica, the people in Mount Airy, in Westmoreland, in Negril, in Orange Hill? Is it that they don't want to see these people survive? So what they do, they legalize it and give it to the Vumvavon, the Vumvavi to become president of this and president of that, and the poor class of Jamaicans can't get a license?
You're dealing with a government who believes in their kind only and nobody else.
Because prime example, when you're going to see the prime minister want to appoint Rocky Mead as cabinet minister. You know what's going on in this country? In trying to militarize the damn country. And it can't work.
Well, Rocky did, he's smart. He didn't want to be caught in a crossfire, and he promptly turned that down.
Is that the prime minister don't read the constitution of the country? In section 92 of the constitution, it's clearly stated that the secretary of the cabinet must pick from the someone in a commission. Okay, the Public Service Commission.
Yeah.
He's not a public servant. So tell me something now. Who gave the prime minister that brilliant idea? I heard the Minister of Constitutional Affairs said, "No, get me involved in this cascas here." So what is it? Is it that the prime minister must allow to continue breaching the constitution of the country?
Well, they seem to be above the law. And that's the problem. That's a part of the problem, I should say. If you live above the law and you break the law, then who's going to arrest you?
Mr. Cunningham?
Well, hi. So I stepped away from it. I was still listening. There are many things to unpack. Unpack. Lord, I can't speak English anymore. Definitely, to make it. There are many things that we have to unpack in terms of when we're dealing with the marijuana. The stigma with the marijuana, and this is not even coming from Jamaica only. It is from a world view. Remember, there was propaganda being spread about how marijuana was the reason why. I remember there was a scientist, a white scientist, that said marijuana was the reason why women would feel they could sleep with black men, or something to say that there was a very bad negative stigma with the marijuana there, and it was a root cause of certain things. The American government had locked up so many minority persons for minor possession of drug charges, minor possession of marijuana. Then they turn around, monetize it, decriminalize it, and start making money from it. And that is the real issue. They found, hey, well, why are we not making money from something that we can't control? We need to control this and tax it and make money. The problem with Jamaica is what I find with our leaders, we're very smart, apparently very intelligent, but we don't have a mind of our own. And a country that is already world-renowned for the quality, right?
Give me the weed, the weed. Give me the weed. Give me the sweet fancy weed.
We should have been ahead, because I remember Uruguay was one of the first countries I remember in this side of the world to legalize, I think, marijuana. We should have a weed tourism. I don't know how we know this. Marijuana should say, hey, come, like in Amsterdam, have the cafes, you go and smoke free. We should have resorts, marijuana resorts.
Hello.
I mean, I don't understand why we have to wait on America for sneeze so we can catch cold. I don't understand it, and it is annoying to me. You know, in our bloody anthem, if we don't have vision, we are gonna perish. Where is our vision? Where is it?
You know something. Let me say something too, though. Mr. Nelson can remember these things. You me sing about give me the weed, want the weed. I never smoke yet.
I thought you had some in the studio over there.
I never received
somebody burning something. So
the American government, hey, Jamaica, we full not duck in our country, you know. Then burn out the banana industry.
Before you run in Jeffrey, that's what Jamaican government. Just remember backside. That's all I would say. Just remember.
Okay,
backside.
hold on there. Then burn out our banana industry because that chemical then burn it down. We was thriving coconut company industry. It gone like Sammy Mouth. They come down and say the ganja not good. Professor Mark Lockhart is the first person who found out that marijuana was good for glaucoma. The FDA wouldn't approve it. You see? You see what's going on? And we sit down in Jamaica, legalize it, and yet we're not capitalizing it. It's the people of the vumva of upper range of society. Only them can have the money to go and buy to get the license.
Acre land and the land.
Huh?
And was it?
And hold on there. When you have people in Orange Hill, because I'm from Negril and I will speak, then bill one sign on Negril cost $12 million, damn thief. The sign with them bill with the tourism bill on Negril. 12 a damn thiefness going on. Thief!
Inflated costs, Jeffrey.
Damn thiefness going on.
Pockets were lined with like a grease pan when you
But not only that, the sign is also between the bar of Negril of Westmoreland and Hanover. Guess how the sign there in Hanover? I say Negril. The point I'm getting to, Negril started tourism in Jamaica. Back in the days, hippie days. The hippies used to come down to Negril to get the ganja from up Orange Hill to smoke. And I remember my great grandparents and great uncles. The 7 Mile Beach belongs to the Arthurs, the Reynolds family. I grew up and down on the beach in Negril. Breadfruit, coconut. And when the hippies come down, they hear long like anything. All they want is the ganja. They go up in the mountains and start smoking and they get tired up there all for days up there. People come out of the house and give them a house to rent, to stay in. And you're telling me that California can legalize ganja and pay off their debt and win so much $1 trillion of debt? And there's something wrong with it. And when we legalize, who we get to? The Pattersons and the Mathellans and the Isses and the Devils know what? They get licensed. Huh? And our poor people in our country who started the ganja industry can benefit from it.
Wait, remember, just to you, Colorado in their first month got $5 billion US of revenue. You hear me? Okay. You know, we can.
And that is to show you. That is to show you. Does our leaders who we elect want to fight crime? Does our leaders who we elect want to really see a 2030 vision for Jamaica and for our children just to live and work? Do they really want to see it? Some of them have companies at St. Lucia, have companies all over the place. Some of them have house in a lower Pembroke Pines in Miami.
Careful, Jeffrey. Careful.
Me not call no name.
Okay.
They have house. So when the revolution start, they run down left way down there. They will never be like the president of Ukraine. Zelensky decides him not leaving in country. If a war should start in Jamaica, God help we down there. Then left we down there for dead. Like a dog. I can't behave myself this evening, you know. I am sick and fed up. I am sick and fed up, man. Now tell me something now. Ganja, that can save the economy, that can save the country. They can't legalize it? Is only certain people can get it? Miss Lady on a West End who sell the ganja cake. Everybody going down to Rick's Cafe have to stop for her place to buy the ganja cake. She can hardly get a license. Mr. Devon Reynolds, who is something to do with the Negro Ganja Growers Association. They're going through the pans of hell to get anything from the Jamaican government pertaining to ganja. And people who were charged back in the days for ganja, they cannot get any thing off of the name.
True. You can't vacate them sentence either.
There you go. There's a well-known gentleman who I know in Negril who got locked up under the Labour Party government because of ganja. I know he can't get a visa for go away. And that happened way before me ban. And I'm very young, of course. We are in a situation in our country is very serious. Very serious. And until we wake up in this country and call a spade, then God help we. Mr. Nelson, not chat too much, your turn.
Well, you know, the only way we're gonna gain is we have to open things up. We have to, just like you encourage farming and farmers, we're going to have to encourage our people the proper methodologies of planting to include not just agriculture development, but agribusiness, right? Now, you have the groups from Washington State and Colorado that comes down to Jamaica. They were the ones that showed us how to form our own marijuana growers association, which we did. And that's like 4 or 5 years ago. But that didn't help our poor people very much because, like I said, when you gotta pay $10,000 for a license and $2,000 for transportation, how in the world you gonna come up with that money and the bank is not gonna give you the loan to get started?
Hello.
But not only that, the bank will not give you a bank account.
That's it. You can't bank it legally because you have catch-22 where the federal government in the US does not recognize it. But there are something like 25 or 26 US states that recognize marijuana growing and have balanced their budget. California used to be in the hole by $8 billion. They're no longer in the hole. They're ahead.
But not only that, Mr. Nelson, a well-known Jamaican reggae artist buy out of California old prison. And what he's doing? Growing ganja.
Yep.
His family is well known in Jamaica. His father supposed to get national hero, and when they can't get the national hero because of politics. And he owns a property in California growing ganja. And in our country, where Jamaica the best marijuana. Give me the weed. One, the good sensey weed. They can't do it down there. And it's sitting wrong with me.
Something seriously wrong with us.
Why not laughing at me? But it's true. Give me the
like
weed,
I
one, the
say,
good sensey weed.
I send you guys the stuff on John Boehner, former Speaker of the House of Representatives here in the US, and the former CIA Director, James Woolsey. Right? I mean, these guys are big wigs.
Them in a ganja, you know. Former Speaker, former CIA Director in a ganja, you know.
Yeah.
And we not, hello. We have one of the best soil known.
Yeah.
We have one of the best smelling, smoking sensimania known. And God help us to God.
And we are in disarray. We can't get our act together. I mean, it's bad. It's bad.
You know what? You know what happened to?
Let me ask a question now. Let me ask a question.
Culture, you know. I'm in Japan, and Japanese come to me, can't speak English, but can speak patois. They want the Jamaican, they want weed, they want to know for dance, they want the music. But anyway, done. Stop. Go on, Andrew.
Yeah.
See.
Well, they've done well.
My question is, what guarantee do we have that even if we capitalize on what we have, the resources that we have, if it's going to be managed properly? Because we already see where the resources are being mismanaged. So if we add that one more resource, which is going to bring in a whole lot more, then I can almost see positively that we're just going to have the same situation happening, a revolving door. So
we're knocking behind Haiti's back door.
Yeah. Andre, let me say this. When you look at the YouTube and you see the amount of Jamaican cooks being featured on YouTube by these travel sites, you must go up in this bush, go eat this food, go up in that other hills, go eat that food, right? When you go up there and people love the food and these guys are making a killing, now, why not send the people up in the hills to go smoke some weed and they can do, they can do food, weed, and even the medical industry, the curing of the glaucoma and other ailments that the professors and doctors up at UW have filed $100 million patent here in Washington on the things that marijuana can cure, the 13 cancers, right?
And until now, and before the Jamaican government, since they have to borrow money, because more often know they ever sell it to the Chinese. Me want to know if between PJ, Patterson, Portia, Simpson, Miller, Bruce, Golding, and Andrew Holiness, if they sell to the Chinese government, then
Not the holiness, Tavares.
I know about the donkeys and the donkey parts that leave Jamaica and gone to China. You know that, right? But we don't hear nothing else. You want to talk about that, Andre? Surely you must know about that.
It's not a story that I'm familiar with, so I really can't expound on it. But you can shed some light. You clearly would have had some more information than I do.
No, all I see is videos, the man them striking Jamaican donkeys in the head, knocking them down unconscious, and then killing them. And understand the donkeys' reproductive system gets shipped to China. And then there was a big story coming out of Africa. Over 4,000 donkey reproductive parts, the part where they make them donkey babies with, they seized it before it could leave the country. So obviously, I don't know if they're doing transplants or what, but it is a very interesting thing. Jamaica has been exploited in every direction, right? And to be on a more serious note, one of the things we do here at the Institute of Caribbean Studies, we deal with the human trafficking aspect. And there are islands in the Caribbean, including Jamaica, where Jamaica has over 800 missing adults and children that have been trafficked. That means the parents probably won't see them ever again. That means you don't know whether they're alive or dead. But the human trafficking is starting to outrun weapons and getting close to drugs trafficking as the #1 trafficking offense and the money maker. And the research that we have done, we're finding out the trafficking is being conducted by a lot of families. That's how they keep it secret for so long. The kids are recruiting other kids in schools and stuff, and they're successfully convincing young girls and boys who want to leave home to go in and leave home, and they set them up with a trafficker, and they're moving. Now, the US government came down hard on the police force by saying that it's the Jamaican police that facilitate the trafficking. This is after we had a briefing by the head of the Jamaica Police Trafficking Unit that said, he told us that the police had nothing to do with it, that they were investigated it. And the very following week, he got relieved, and the US came out and badmouthed the JCF. So there's a problem. And that problem needs attention and it needs fixing.
You are correct, and I can completely agree. Chipper, is it that Jeffrey fell off? You're talking on mute, Chipper.
Maybe that smoke got to him, Chipper. What do you think?
I think so. Maybe got spooky. But I think he said he'll be back in a second. He said, let's keep the conversation rolling.
No, he's nowhere to be seen.
I realized I had a question to ask based on what Pickles said, but he didn't get a chance to. Andre, Mr. Cunningham, Andre Cunningham, you were saying something about the backside. Remember what they did with the backside industry? You didn't even get to finish that point. And I know where you're going, and I would like that point to be brought back.
Oh, well, Jamaica, I remember when I was told, because I was a babe at that point, I'm not a date myself, but growing up, the issue with the bauxite was that we never knew the value of the bauxite. And I think it was, if I remember, it was Michael Manley that had signed a deal with the US or whoever to say that we're selling like 25 cents to the ton or some ridiculous figure like that. And because we didn't know the value of what the bauxite was and what it could produce and the many byproducts, I don't know why we wouldn't have known, but we didn't know. We signed a deal, and when we recognized later, it was, I think it was a 25-year. Sorry, typhoon just reached. So it was a 25-year lease or agreement. And when in about year 2 or 3 of the agreement, the government realized the actual value of the bauxite because it could be used to make stuff for phones, and it was the best thing they were using for the planes, the aircraft, the body of the aircraft, but to convert to alumina and to make the stuff.
As
And
well
when
as
they tried to,
submarines as well.
yes, that's same. So to lambast for the submarines, right? So when the government realized what they had done and tried to renegotiate, America is like, no. I mean, you signed up this thing, and this is concrete. There's no renegotiation, and that was the end of that. So we lost a lot of money on that deal. Like, I mean, billions, you know. You see me? But how you could see somebody come to negotiate with you for something, and do your little research to find out what exactly this thing is and what really is the value. You understand me? Get the experts in the field. I mean, to me, just baffling. We did the same thing with sugar too. And I think with banana, we did not understand the true value of our own products. And we say, we're just happy that somebody want with things. So I'll give you the exposure. We love that word, exposure. And it's good for the brand Jamaica. Well, go sweet, I go sour you. Radam! You understand me? And that is what Radam has been affecting us for a very long time in Jamaica. We never know it. And I think also many things were done in if you're going forward now. Look at the Goat Islands. We almost, I don't know if you signed away, I think we almost gave away a very valuable piece of property, land area, the port, the connection. Jamaica is a key, because where we're positioned, because of the ships and the ports from, let's say, from Panama come around to us, and we connect to different places. So if we them get a port in Jamaica, China good, them bingo, everything connect up everybody. So I think we undervalue our stuff, or we're not doing the proper research, or somebody is getting their pockets lined. And I'm going to think it's the latter. Money is being handed under tables, under benches, or whatever. And, it's just crazy. It's crazy how my country just give it things. We don't own anything. We don't own the power company or power source company. We own water commission. I don't remember. I can't remember. I don't think we own that team. We just don't own anything. And it is really, it hurt me. Now, don't forget, sir, God bless him soul, or don't bless it, but Stewart. The Sanders White House, the back. Who remember that? Who remember the overspending and the people them? Cost overruns. The cost overruns like a million, a 2 million, no, 50 million, 100 million cost overrun. How that happen? You see me? I just don't understand it, but I try. Me, never did want to leave Jamaica. Me born and go say, me I go stay in Jamaica. I worked in a decent job. I was like, man, Jamaica is where it's at. When I saw the company downsizing, and then I see certain things happening outside, people can't get work, people who have master's degree and PhD, I get less than me with my BSc in a job. I said, but this don't make no sense. Jamaica don't want to pay the people them with them qualification. Then they will tell them, say, well, based on you don't have no experience, so we can't pay you. So how are we going to experience if you don't employ with? You understand me? So it just don't make no sense. So people will leave. Those who run will run, but those who stay, they will have to pay. But there's a fact them where they will always live with me. You understand? And so when a man now come get up with a last name like that, make a statement like that, without looking at all the other factors that have led to people making decisions, it is really tone deaf. Is a word we use in these circles, Mr. Banton. Tone deaf is a word. Is this a phrase? In the media circles, tone deaf, right? It's tone deaf. Comes off tone deaf. I don't want to say stupid, but it comes off tone deaf. And so you have to read the room and read what is actually happening to persons in the
I just want
diaspora.
to touch on that statement very quickly because I think that was something that Jeffrey had wanted to touch on too. I think that statement came from a place of privilege, number one. It came from a very uninformed status, and it came from a place of ridicule, if you would. And these are just my terminologies, because when you think about it, someone who, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't or does not work, has not, let me put it correctly. Somebody who was born into money and does not know the status or does not know what the average Jamaican goes through, to be making that statement, number one, is quite insensitive. It was very insensitive. And for myself and several other persons, who saw the comment, we were offended. And I think I responded to the tweet that he had made to say that I've been working in a capacity for a number of years. I've been doing the job of 3 persons. And to make that statement, knowing, well, he probably wouldn't have known, but I've not been compensated for doing 3 persons' work, is very insensitive, because now I'm struggling to find money to take care of myself, pay my bills. And you're going to look down on people and say something like that. People are going to go where there are better opportunities. People will forever go where there are better opportunities. And if at the end of the day you don't have the opportunity here, I strongly recommend that you go find it somewhere else, because number one, when the resources are here, they're mismanaged. You don't know where half the money gone. People just say money misappropriated gone where? Who have it? You have people having the resources and still not making fundamental use of the resources, and you're always going to have persons in poverty. People are in poverty, look here, is it a crime or go somewhere else? And I prefer if they go somewhere else and take the crime out of the situation. That is the main focus. And these are the things that create crime. You can't make a statement and say people should stay here and work twice as hard when they can go somewhere else and work twice as hard and get more money. Think about the exchange rate. Our value is so depreciated where people can, it's 156 to 1. It means that their dollar has 156 times more weight than ours. And then you're going to say to people, oh, don't move. That's crazy. And I was one of them who really and truly chided him for saying something like that, because at the end of the day, another perfect example, I know somebody who ends the clock at 5 o'clock and they still have to be working up until sometimes 2 a.m. the next morning, 3 a.m. the next morning, and they're not getting compensated for that, but the work has to be done. And then for you to make a statement like that, knowing that your name alone grants you privilege and status, is a very insensitive comment, and I was not going to let that slide. But, you know, people who have it will have it, and they'll say anything that comes to mind without thinking about the general population. I said it earlier, almost, if not 30 or 40% of Jamaica is almost in poverty, if not in poverty. You can't make a statement like that on the people's national platforms and think it's going to just slide because you said it. No. People, Jamaicans are not afraid to work. We are willing to work. What we're not willing to do is to accept disrespect and undercompensation.
That right there.
You know, I must apologize. It seems as if they don't want me to talk, And I have been, you're laughing at me. I have been getting that for a couple of days now.
Tell you carefully, listen, but I continue, sir.
Wherein is either then jam my internet or they put something in the chat room or something, but they're gonna stop me from talking. I'm gonna be like John Lewis, they're gonna stop me from talking. Chipper is a very good host doing. I like how Chipper controlled himself a while ago. I was watching on the YouTube. Very good, but this internet at my place, I don't know what's going on. It's telling me all kind of stupidness. Gentlemen, it's been a great discussion. And our final words before we come off, because, we don't want to have this long drawn out thing, because people get tired of it and say we're boring. So our final words before we go off, how can we solve our situation? What can we do? And, to turn this country of ours around. Because we all love this country, as I always said by a lot of, say to a lot of people. The Chinese, they come there by aeroplane, but we come there by labor pain. And the people of the Vumvuva and the Vumvuvi, them believe that they're better than we because we come from below crossroad. Some of them don't know how to name dirty girl. That's thin mackerel. No, me plain and straightforward. I will say this on Roots FM, dirty girl. That's thin mackerel, grace thin mackerel. I love it with rice and with rice. Or rice and peas. They become a name Tavares. Yes, man. You put the dirty girl in a, anyway, Jeffrey Baby said, like, why I want the weed, give me the weed, the good sensey weed. You know, you know, it is a great discussion this afternoon. And I think what we need to do is get some ladies to come on. And let us hear from the female perspective about our country. And you know, we have some females in our Twitter space, like Marie and other, you know, outspoken individuals. I don't know if they come and talk about Jamaica in the sense of, you know, what is going on in our country, or, you know, is Marie even from Jamaica, come to think of it. You know, but to speak about what is going on, because honestly, the time has come for us not to keep silent, but to speak up. And when we have people like Wilfred Rattigan and Herb Nelson Jr. and other people who has the know-how, the capability, the information about certain things, then we must get them to inform us, to come on and speak. Mr. Nelson, your final words before we go, sir. Unmute your mic, Sir Nelson.
I just want to say congratulations to my fellow panel members, yourself, and mostly to our listeners who has had to listen to us all afternoon. The points that we made tonight, hopefully, will just wet your lips a little bit, and you heard the recommendations I made earlier about diaspora. That just means US only. It means worldwide, EU, Latin America, Asia, wherever you are. Start a project in a community that's, you reach out to someone, make contact, whether the church, or find out who the CDC is in the community. But we'll try to work with the community to help our kids stay out of the gangs, because the gangs is getting them no place. The gangs is where they matriculate later on into being gangsters, and there's a bullet, whether the bullet is by the police or by another gang member, but there's a bullet with your name on it, and you just don't know when it's going to be fired. So my thing is, let us look out for young folks first and foremost, and help them to overcome whether they're trying to drop out of school, stay in school, whether they don't have the books, whether they don't have the clothes, whatever they don't have. Find out, and let's see if we can't make a contribution by starting a project to identify these types of things in communities and work with a specific community to help to alleviate these problems. And thank you very much, Jeff. And thanks to your listeners again. Yeah.
You're welcome anytime, Sir Nelson. I'm asking people on my YouTube channel to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, please. Like, share, and subscribe. My good friend, Chipamento.
This one is one to be continued. I really enjoyed this conversation. We have to have another series, because there's so much topics that were brought across. We dissect most of them, but it's still the tip of the iceberg. That's what Mr. Nelson said. Wet your lips. No, wet your lips, because this information is vast. It's well informative. And this conversation was one that was very laid out. Conversation flow, and I enjoyed it. So again, thank you guys for listening to us, and thank you for your evening. I appreciated my panelists. I had to further had conversation with these beautiful people. I met them from different areas, but after talking to Mr. Herb, I was surprised that Mr. Nelson was here tonight. So I appreciate that because I was expecting Mr. Rattigan, but he's not here. But hopefully we could have this conversation with him again next time around. No, this is my good friend Andre Banton, and this is my good friend Andre Cunningham. We met again like I met Jeffrey, and after conversing with them, I was like, no, these two people with the other two persons that I've met around Jeffries, Mr. Yu, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Rattigan, I knew that this was an A1 conversation. We should continue another time. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Chipper. And the man from out of Japan. We're gonna unmute your mic, sir, and your final words to your fellow Jamaicans and to us here on this Zoom Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel special edition. Your final words, sir.
I'd like to thank everyone for having me here. It was sleepy early for me on a Sunday here. With the impending typhoon and stuff. So I just want to thank you for having me. I hope you guys we can be able to move and affect some change in some way. Even if it's one person change, someone learned something today, would have done a good job if one person learned something new and we cleared up some probably misconceptions or enlighten them. They can take it and try and see what they can do. Because if it only takes one person to start a change, or it only takes a spark of fire going. Very cliche, but it's actually true. And more discussion, and be able to actually move the discussion to some form of action, some form of reform eventually, then it would be all worth it in the end. Just try and treat people how you want to be treated. If it can be good, be creative as well. And keep yourselves accountable. Honesty with self is the first way we're going to effect change. You know what I mean? So, yeah, big up and hi, arigatou gozaimashita, minasan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cunningham, and the good gentleman who don't want to be like Jeffrey. Racha. Andre.
All right.
Unmute your mic, man.
All right. My thing is, I'm gonna be very quick. We need to start off with trust. The government has to ensure that the people trust the process. And I'll give you a very, very quick short story. There's a young man who had a business that was not moving forward. And I saw where the entire Twitter space came together, and now he's booked until forever and a day. We can all stand together to make a change. And as Andre would have said, it just takes one person. We need to trust the process. We need to stand united. Without these two factors, we don't have a hope. We don't have a chance, because guess what? The persons that we hold accountable will never, ever take accountability. And without that, there will be room for disaster, room for errors, and we really just cannot afford that anymore. All these points tied into the same thing. Coming back to crime, we need to fix that. Accountability again, action again, and just having everybody on board as united as possible. And then this can be, a problem that we can fix. But thank you very much, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed the conversation. Jeffrey, you're crazy. Yeah. But thank you, guys. I truly appreciate it. I don't usually go on a lot of platforms and speaking about it. I truly appreciate this opportunity. And thank you very much.
Thank you too. Chipper, you have something to say before we go again?
I would like to ask everyone that's here to like, share, and subscribe. We will be doing this much more often. I believe that, mixture of the age group will get y'all to really understand where we're coming from, because myself was born in 1997. And I know everybody up here is born way, way, way before me. So
you only beat me by 1 year, Chipper.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we go, my 2 cents and everything. The land of my birth. I grew up in a home very humble. I see where my family helped a lot of people. I may have the name of a Tavares that everybody said that the Tavares is and the Tavares that. But this is one of the Tavares who I am not affiliated to any political party. I'm a Jamaican. Jamaica and Jamaicans come first for me. I will continue to stand up, speak out, and try to make a change in my country. I love Jamaica. No one better than Yard. And for some of them out there who may believe that we leave our country and run away, let me make something clear to you all. Jamaica is the land of opportunity for a lot of us. But for far too long, we allow corrupt institutions to run our country. We allow politicians every 5 years to tell us some bull crap about leaving our doors open, or they will raise minimum wage, or they will lower electricity rate when they know they can't do it. Or we have a Minister of Justice who said to us that it costs him more money to be in politics. Or we have a Commissioner of Police who doesn't know A from bullcrap. And we have a justice system that is for the Vumvava and the Vumvavi. They amend the laws of the land to suit themselves. Not really to suit the Jamaican people. And I say to my fellow Jamaicans this afternoon, let us be united around a single cause and a single purpose. The change that we seek will not come from the People's National Party or the Jamaica Labour Party. The change that we seek as Jamaicans have to come from us. We are the change. And if we want to leave a Jamaica, a better Jamaica, for our children, the time is now for that change. The time has come, and the time is now. May God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. And before you all go, we're going to play this song. And I must say to YouTube and Facebook, I don't own the copyrights of this song. This song I'm going to play is not for any financial purposes. I do not own the copyright of this song.
My Highland don't salute. My Highland don't salute. Please don't salute. My Highland don't salute. Remember your teachers, them now. Remember your nurses, them now. Remember your doctors, them now. My Highland don't sell out. No, 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 no. My Highland Remember your farmers them now. Remember your workers them now. Remember your neighbors them now. My Highland don't sell out. Please don't sell out. My Highland don't sell out. Remember your people them now. Remember the masses. I'm a soldier of His Majesty. So therefore I can see my Highland don't salute. Please don't salute.
Thank you all very much. This is where I say so long. Join us Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock US time, live from Roots 96.1 FM, where definitely we'll be having former FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan, attorney at law. We'll be speaking about the Camilla Johnson Smith saga. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade was trying to get the Commonwealth Secretary General post. There is some more information on that. We'll be speaking about that. And also, Mr. Rattigan has a very important announcement to make about donor funds to Jamaica. About donor funds to Jamaica. Some of you who involved in a donor funds corruption, all right, and I'm going no further. Until you hear my voice again, I'm Jeffrey Tavares saying so long. May God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. Gentlemen, God bless.